you watching closely?
2006's The Prestige is a masterpiece. It's an epic story of two young magicians and their complicated relationship around their professional and personal lives. Before I get deep into this movie, I'd like to issue a major spoiler warning. And if you're one of those people who'd prefer to experience the wonder of The Prestige firsthand before hearing some amateur talk about it, then I recommend you do just that. But The Prestige is one of those movies that it actually gets better on the second or third watch because you now know how the story ends and you begin to notice things you most definitely had missed the first time around, so it wouldn't hurt to just watch the video even if you haven't seen the movie. If you're still here, let's talk about The Prestige. Now, many will say it's a story about magic or science fiction. Other more perceptive people will say it's a story about rivalries, but I believe it's a story about sacrifices and dedication. How much are you willing to give up to be the best at what you do? What lines are you willing to cross in achieving your dreams? This is a question asked of both Angie and Borden throughout the duration of this movie. Each of them believe they are giving more than the other, but a question really comes at the end as to who gave more. Who sacrificed more? Who was more dedicated to their act, to the illusion that was their trade? In the course of the movie, Borden is shown to be the more naturally talented magician, as he spots the trick behind the magician that they're sent to early on in the story. Angier tried and tried, but Borden instantaneously sees through the illusion. While explaining it to Angier, he describes it as a total devotion to the art, a lot of self-sacrifice. The magician that had gone to see that night lived his act. It wasn't just something he did on stage, he maintained the lie off the stage as well, and that's how nobody could detect it was a trick, because they thought of it as truth, as who he was. That's the underlying principle in The Prestige, a lot of self-sacrifice and total devotion to your goals. Obviously, our protagonists get a little bit excessive and extreme, and although Borden was committed to this ideal from the very beginning, it's the envy and hatred for Borden that drove Angier to the extremes and had him sacrificing everything. Angier blames Borden for the death of his wife, and Borden cannot give a reason as to why he tied the knot, which he did, the one that leads to her drowning and dying on stage. This is where the friendly professional rivalry between the two magicians gets a bit personal and extreme. They continually sabotage one another's shows, with Angier even shooting off two of Borden's fingers. This is where the self-sacrifice element enters the scene. Borden has a trick, the transported man, where he seemingly travels through thin air by walking through one door and walking out the other. This puzzles Angier to the point where he seeks out the help of Nikolai Tesla, who says he can build him the real transported man.
Nothing is impossible, Mr. Angier. What you want is simply expensive. Mr. Angier, have you considered the cost of such a machine?
Price is not an object.
Perhaps not, but have you considered the cost?
I'm not sure I follow.
Angier hadn't considered the cost of his obsession, the self-sacrifice and total devotion Borden spoke of, but he soon found out the cost and had to pay it, just as Borden had been paying his. And after Borden was hung for the murder of Angier, they met. Now obviously Angier is confused. It's impossible. Borden literally just died. How can he possibly be here? But he joins the dots soon enough.
My brother. A twin. You were Fallon. The whole time.
No. We were both Fallon. And we were both Borden.
Early in the movie, he was convinced that Borden had some overly complicated trick, and when Cutter told Borden that maybe that's how Borden did it, Angier dismissed the theory, claiming that it was too easy.
No. Simple maybe, but not easy. There's nothing easy about two men sharing one life.
While Borden lived half a life for his whole life, the price that him and Fallon had to pay throughout their life is gargantuan, and there's subtle details you can pick up on a second watch and recognize which one was Borden and which one was Fallon. But that price is difficult to compare to the one Angier had to pay.
The sacrifice, Robert. That's the price of a good trick. But you wouldn't know anything about that, would you?
I've made sacrifices. Yes. No, wait, I'm not...
Literally killing himself each night for 5 months straight. Both these men sacrificed to the extreme. But who paid more?
You want to be fooled.
Hey guys, it's Tao. Thanks for getting to the end of the video. Please like and leave a comment down below. Also, if you haven't subscribed, please do so and share the channel with a friend.